Hello. So, I have been asked a bit about breeding. Breeding, we are talking both the basics and also how to mutate, make mounts, and all these kind of things. This has been asked by a lot of the people on the unofficial server cluster that I'm playing on. So, for those guys on this unofficial server cluster, I have done a bit of work here. You all have access to this modded map server that's flat, has nothing, and this is for the breeding class. Obviously, there is some on American time, some on European time, which is the reason why I do this video. I will also be doing a class where I will help you, and we will try and figure all these things out together. So, first off, when you get in, you can go into GCM on the server. The password is linked in the breeding class channel. Um, if you did not, for whatever reason, I did make you some water here and some food. I didn't make enough, but I'll potentially make a bit more if it is the case that you guys don't know how to go into GCM mode. So, first things first. Normally when you breed, the majority of you have access to incubators. The old way was to use torches, standing torches. Um, a lot of these other heating sources, furnaces, whatever really, to make your eggs incubate. It also makes it a lot harder, and since the majority of you have access to this, I'm not really gonna go over that part there. So, as you see here, there is 5 incubators. As I wrote here on this sign, incubator setup is for 450-ish weight with 10 kilo eggs. Obviously, if you're doing kachas or anything bigger, you either need to move your arch or whatever you're carrying your eggs in, probably a gas bag if you're doing kachas or gigas. But normally what I do is I use 4 incubators to test my eggs. And the last incubator is where I put all the eggs that I want to keep. Obviously, we have insane breeding rates on this server right here because it is a breeding class server, so it's supposed to be fast and for you to learn. Anyway, when you get in here, you can go in here, you can take an incubator if you want to breed mammals. There's also made some of those. You can make everything yourself, obviously, if you know how to do all the spawn commands, but for conveniency, I did a lot of the work. So made some vaults, some tech jennies, and a lot of cryo fridges should you need it as well, some foundations, and some cryo fridges here with empty cryopods in it. The last one here, it includes traits. These traits we're going to use for the dodos that we are going to mutate, and I chose dodos because they're easy, and they're small and have a fast growth speed. First one here will have a male. Second one here will have females. I'm still raising females. I did spawn a lot in, but out of 40 spawns I got like 7 females, so it's like, yeah. Then I started breeding them instead. It was probably faster than sitting and going through that way. In this one here, I'll put oviraptors. So you can go and pick up an oviraptor, and in this one here, I will put in on-stat matched oviraptors, so you can practice stat matching your dino. So the first thing we're gonna go through is actual stat matching. All these dodos are level 1, so they have no stat. This is done for simplicity, so you don't have to go through and look at everything. There are 2 ways to figure out your stats on your dino. One, you have tech binoculars. 2, you use an app called ARK Smart Breeder. Now, I will not be going through ARK Smart Breeder on this guide here, since currently I'm just streaming the game and we need to go outside the game into the other application to do a lot of things, and I am not doing this to gain subscribers or followers or anything, so I will just do a direct cut and with no editing. It is simply to teach you how to breed. So, these here you see again, they're all called dodos. Their name is not given for what they have. Now, if I take my tech binoculars on the right side, you can see all stats are 0. So what does this mean? It means that when you look here, each of these points, or each of the stat here, the higher stat point that the dino has, the more health. If it has 20 health stat, then it would have higher than obviously this 0 one here. We can go and look a bit here on these. So for example, when we take this Oviraptor here, it has 30 health, meaning it has 1000 health almost. Now this one here has a 50 health stat, so it has 1540 health. This is also what we're going to utilize when we are mutating. That is how we make our insanely strong dinos. When we do mutate, you can do it without stat matching your females and just mutate breed. However, this is gonna be a lot more tricky to kind of recognize if your stat mutated correctly or not. And there is a reason to why I name my dinos with the stats. Because when we start mutating, it is easy for me to spot, oh, does this one here has mutation or does it not? So if we start by going over here, now we're stat matching. So again, you get your stats on your first dino, 225. This is just a 150 spawned in and then tamed to a 225. So this one here has stats as if you were out taming a 150. Obviously I've been lucky to get some insanely high stats like 53 food, pretty good, and yeah, 50 stamina, 50 health. It was pretty lucky. But anyway, when you start stat matching, you just put all of these to breed. Obviously, I chose the Oviraptors because they collect eggs, and for breeder, collecting eggs is essential. You do not want to sit and collect all your eggs manually, so we use Oviraptors to do that. There are multiple guides on how the Oviraptors work, but to keep it plain and simple, the level of your Oviraptor decides the range of how far it picks up the egg. So if you have a 50 Oviraptor, the pickup radius is very small. If you have 100, it's a bit bigger, and so on. Max pickup radius, I think, is 300 Oviraptor. After that, the pickup radius shouldn't increase more. Again, don't hang me up on it. There is complicated math behind all of this because there's both axles that it works on, and I'm not going to go into depth on that. Anyway, back to the stat matching. So here we have some cryofridges or incubators where we have some stats. So if we look at the first one here, this Oviraptor here is level 245. That is one way we can see if we have all stats. Now I know that all of our stats is going to be level 550 except for the food because I didn't get that one in yet. But when you look at it, I'm just going to do that. When you look at it, the name of the female and the male is telling me what stats we have to work with. So normally what I do is I only put in the name of or the stat into the name that is the highest. So for the female here, I did put it in so we could see. But normally when I have a male with 50 health, I simply don't put the 33 health into the female because it's lower than the male. This is only while I'm stat matching. So I can just look at the highest stats that these dinos have and then check on the right, did I get that stat? Did I not get that stat? Because now I need to take health first. And then I need to look, okay, what does the female have and the male? And then see, okay, which is highest? Here in this case, the male has 50 health. We don't get the 50 health over here. Okay, we did, however, get the 50 stamina, which is the highest in this case when we are looking at both of them. But a lot of the other stats are missing. So when we go over here, for example, there's a 251. This is pretty high level, so to say, in comparison to we just bred some stats in together, yeah? But when we look here, this is 255. So I know that this dino here has the majority of the stats already. It has 50 health, 50 stamina, 39 weight, 33 melee, and there is no higher stats on any of these dinos than what is in this. This means that this here has all the stats. This is what we call stat match dino. Now, before you start mutating, I strongly suggest that you take your dinos, you stat match them, and you make a female line. The amount of females you need is up for you to decide. Some people go with 10, some go with 20, some go with 30, some go with 50, and some go with 100. It depends on how much do you want to spend on breeding, how important is this for you. Personally, I go with between 30 and 60. It varies on what I'm breeding and how quickly I need the mutations. Obviously, on our cluster, we have increased breeding rates. I think we have breeding times 10. So you don't have to sit and wait like they do on official, where it goes a lot slower, both for raising them, but also to breed them. While we have the events where we have times 3, you have times 30 in breeding, so it goes really fast, and therefore you don't need a whole base just with one dino like some does on official, where they only breed one and has like 200 of those. You don't need that. But yeah, anyway, now we have stat matched our dino. We're gonna grow it. So all these dodos are obviously level 1, so they have 0 stats. They're stat matched. Now, we have a huge army of stat matched dinos, and we want to start mutating. So there's multiple ways of doing this, and when it comes to mutation, nothing is right and wrong. If your goal is to just get 20 health mutations and 20 melee mutations to have something that you can use, do that. The way I'm going to show you is the way where I feel it's easiest to keep it clean, to decide what stats you want, and to mutate fast as possible. So, first off, I have a male. He has no traits really. These here spawned in, majority of them. So you see athletic, this is bred, so it has nothing. This is bearing. There are something you need to be wary of. This one here, for example, health frail. Health frail means that you have a lower chance of transferring the health to whatever you're breeding. So if you're mutating health, for example, that there is going to lower the chance that you will get your highest health stat on your baby. Means that is a very bad stat for you if you're mutating health. If you're mutating melee, this one does not matter. But as a general thing, remove frails. We'll go a bit more into traits later. So all of these are just breeding with that male, and I have no mutables on them. It's going pretty quick, so there's quite a few eggs here. Anyway, I have done a bit of egg checking, so we have gotten some mutations. Now, since there is no mutable, the mutations will be random. And when we're looking at this screen right here, you will see that there is 0 mutation on the female side and there's 1 mutation on the male side. Does this matter? No, it does not. So, once I hatch this egg will have a mutation count of 1. Doesn't matter if it mutated on the female side or the male side. However, once your male reached 20 in mutation cap, the male side can no longer mutate. Now this here obviously mutated on the male. So that means we're making a new male, and we can then replace that one over there with this male should we want to. Now we're not trying to mutate food. Again, here's another one. This is a female, but it's still mutated on the male side. This one here is a melee mutation, and the level goes up by 2 per mutation, and you also gain 2 stats per mutation. On official, you cap out at 450 dino. At this point you can no longer put any stat in it. However, on our cluster we have no dino cap, so you can go indefinitely high on the level. The only cap you have is the 255 mutation cap. So once you have 255 or 254, don't hang me up on it, but there's a cap. Once you reach that, you can no longer mutate that stat. Then you're hard capped. So it also means if you're mutating 3 stats on the same dino, once you have 255 points, meaning the melee in this case here, for example, you see 2 melee points, not mutation points, but stat points. Once you reach that, you can no longer gain stats. So if you are mutating 3 different stats or 2 different stats on the same dino, you will be unable to go as high as if you only mutate 1 stat. And the other thing with this is traits, and traits are essential to breeders. If you don't have traits, you need to, don't need to, but people say you need to work with negative mutations to increase your mutation chances and all this. We don't need that because we have traits. It is an old thing from back in ASE. I think it's 1% that it increases in mutation chance, something like that. It's very low, where if you have 3 mutables on it, level 3, you will have an increased chance by 6. So by going into minus mutations, you would sit at 7%. It is not much. And again, when you soft cap, it's only 0.5% more because you can no longer mutate on the male. So if you don't minus mutate on them, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go further into that because it doesn't bother me, and I'm not really spending time doing that when we have the traits. So this here is obviously bred with a level 1 with no mutables on it, and the mutations are all over the place. So first off, I'm gonna go, and then I'm gonna go and grab this male here. Since these are actually shoulder pads, I can just pick it up. And then we throw it out of here, so it is out of the way. This one does not have the trait, meaning I will now go and I will raise a level 1 again, and we will put traits on it. So this one here we just raise. We don't give it any name right now because it does not matter. It has no mutate. Okay, we can actually do this, and we can say hashtag 0 and say 0 melee. This is how I name. And the reason I do it this way is because when I have a cryofridge full of mutations, I can write hashtag, and then I can actually search for my mutations, and then I can search for the count. So if we go over why I name it this way and what it actually means, it'll all make sense. So hashtag 0, this means there's 0 mutation. If I say hashtag 5, I have 5 mutations on this dino. So I can search for hashtag 5 and find my 5th mutation here, if that is what I want. So that's why we're naming it hashtag and then giving it the number of mutation that it has. Next thing I'm doing is I'm writing the amount that I have. So for example, let's say I don't care about my mutation count, but I want to make a mount that has 100 melee. Then I would write 100 melee because that's what on the dino. So I can now take it out and I can use it to make a mount. So since this has 0 in everything, we're just going to say 0 and 0 melee. This here helps me find it in my cryofridge again. And it helps me when I'm looking through my ancestry. What did I do here? Did I do something wrong? If I failed at some point, I can go back into the ancestry and see what went wrong here and which one was it that went wrong with, and I can go back and find it and fix my problem. Anyway, this is now named. As you see, we have insane breeding rates here, so it's already 11%. Now, when we are working with traits, it is important to notice that once your dino is raised, you can no longer put traits on it. So we need to put traits on it while it's raising, and that means we need to do it while it's a baby. So we drop that out. There is no food grain either on the server, so it doesn't matter if you feed them or not. I obviously did put some berries in here for the dodos and some for the oviraptors. The only reason I put the meat in here, that was because I didn't want them to eat my eggs early on. If your oviraptors does not have or they need food, they will start eating the inventory, and in this case the eggs, taking fertilized eggs. So, but since there's no real food drain here, then we are not really going to care about that. So gene traits. You can have 3 mutable melees, no more, no less. You can also have 3 melee robust. However, I only use 2 because for me the mutation is better for me. What does this do? The creature's melee stat is highly mutable, making this offering more likely to gain a mutation. So a melee mutable means that I have a higher chance to again gain a mutation towards melee. The robust creature has a robust melee gene. Its offspring is more likely to inherit the stat of the higher parent's melee stat. So how does this actually come into play? When we're breeding, you have a 50-50 chance of getting from the female or the male. But once you put the robust on, you will gain 3% chance for each level 3 trait. So with 2 robust, you will now have 56% chance to gain the higher stat. Now this does not sound like a lot, but it actually is. Personal experience, this is no number from the internet, this is no statistic, but once I go through, let's say 100x with no robust, I see maybe 3 or 4 mutations. That is on the low stat. However, once I have the melee robust on, I might see all 4 on the same. Maybe I'll have one that is not on the same, but it's like, for me it feels a lot less on the low stat. And it is very important once you get double mutations or even triple mutations. If you don't use robust traits, you will see some of those double and triple mutations on your lower stat, and you'll be a bit annoyed because you basically were able to skip 2 or 3 mutations. So robust does help out quite a bit. It is obviously not necessary, but it does help out quite a bit. And we have the outfitter, guys, so if you want to mutate something strongly, save up those ducks and buy the mutables and the melee robust. Unless you want to farm, you can also farm. On Lost Colony we have a lot of level 3s because we have farmed quite a bit, and there is a lot of dinos. They spawn pretty fast on Lost Colony, so it's easy to go around and actually find the traits there. Anyway, if we're talking melee mutable, the rank 1 is, I think it is 1%, and rank 2 is 1.5%, and rank 2 is 2%. You can go into ARK fandom and find the trait. All the stats for the actual traits in there, so you can get the 100% numbers. This is off my head, and I think that melee robust is 2, 2.5, and then 3. But I'm not 100% sure here either. I know that it is 3% for the last, so this will give me 6%, and these 3 will give me 6% as well. And as far as I know, the the mutation rate of dinos is 1%, but it's random 1%. So by giving it traits, you're specifying 6% towards the stat you actually want. So for fast mutation, this is essential. Anyway, this here is soon raised, and then we will start breeding with all of these females over here. Yeah, the server is a little bit laggy. It is a modded server that is set up just for you to breed. So it has low RAM. Anyway, I'm gonna take all of these and cryo them while I wait for my new male over there. These are the females for you guys to start working out with all of this. I use 10. I'm not gonna make so there's 50 females. I suspect that the majority of you will know how to use GCM and can do a lot of this yourself. This is to help the guys that doesn't know how to do all the spawn commands or sitting on a console, making it a bit harder. Since I'm on a PC, it's pretty easy for me to do spawn commands. But yeah, if you want, take 5 females or something. If you feel you need more than the 5 females to kind of test this out, then feel free to breed some more females and use that. But try and leave some for the other people as well, right? God damn it, rubber banding. There. And I forgot to unlock these. That's unlocked now. That is unlocked. Oh, yeah. And one overwraps. I'll make some more of these as well. And then I will also do the overraptors for you to try and stat match with them. They're both pretty fast breeders, so it should be fairly quick. Now, while we're waiting for this one here to raise, there's something else I want to show you actually. So, oh god damn it, stop lagging. First thing is, if you need element when you get here, I put a lot of element in here. You can just go and take 10 or 50 or whatever to get your Jenny running. Now, if your male is raised and you do not want to spend the time getting a new mutation, there is a way to actually put traits on. This is with makeshift lab. So first off, we're gonna make a makeshift lab. Okay, there. Yeah, I'll just put it here, it doesn't matter. There. So, this makeshift lab, when you go, turn it on. When you go into this, there's something here called respec creature. Now, up here, there's one called babyfy. This allows me to make it into a baby. I'll go and grab this old male here. Okay, we're gonna stop flying because that is making problems. Okay, never mind, this is too slow. So, I now drop my dodo, so it's close to this makeshift lab, and we go back in, respec creature, and into babyfy. Over here you'll see the dodo. Now, I can make it baby age by 95%, meaning that it has 5% to grow up. This costs element shards. The lower level, or the lower percentage you wanted, the more shard cost. So normally 95 is fine for you to just put your traits back on it. But this is a way if you forgot to put your traits on while it was a baby. So, now that we've gone over that. Did I put empty cryos in here yet? No, I did not. We'll just make some cryo. So, there we go. I don't need that anymore. Just gonna toss that. So, let's take this and raise that. So this here is hashtag 1 and 2 melee. we're gonna use these so I can show you what it actually means to stat match. Let's take a male. This here is an oxygen male. That's fine. Hatch. Hashtag 1 to Oxy. So, now these two can race. We will pick up our... Okay, I'm not allowed to cryo, so we're just gonna pick it up. Can I cryo you now? Okay, I'm simply just not allowed to cryo. This is sometimes happening when you're working with shoulder pets, and it's annoying. And now it is walking away, even more annoying. So we just bring out the old good whip, and we're just gonna start whipping it in. There. Now it's in the middle of him. And we're gonna put on breeding. First off, we're gonna take all of these eggs here. Let's just drop it. Doesn't matter. Wait for it to mate with all of these. Wait for the raptors to pick them up. There. And I guarantee you one of these raptors over here picked them up. So we're gonna move you guys a little. Yep. There we go. So, normally I would fill 4 up and then use the last one to check them. But because this goes really fast, we're only going to work with 1. So, we're going to look at these, and then we're just going to look until we find something that has mutated in melee. So, we have our first one here. So, we're going to take that out. So, that was slot 8. Bring that back in. I'm just gonna quickly check if there is multiple mutations. Okay, it seems like slot 8 was also a mutation again. So we now have 2. We're gonna go to the first one normally, but I have used that for obvious, so we're just gonna use this one. So slot 1 and 2 there. And then we simply just say goodbye to the rest of the eggs. We satchel them so we don't get them picked up by anything else. If you just popcorn them, then your ovies will start picking them up. So now we have 2 mutations. If you care about color, choose the one with the best color. Else, then yeah, just take the one. The important thing that we're looking at here is the hashtag tells me the count of mutations. So the number of mutation on this dino needs to be 1 above the count on the previous, unless you got a double melee. If you get a double melee, you obviously want to keep that melee mutation. If you did not, then you don't want it. So I told you earlier about the maximum amount of mutated stat points you can have on a dino. If you take dinos that has double mutation, but where one is in health and one is in melee, you just used up one of your points. So we want to keep it clean, and then we just want to have 1 mutation per stat. So here on number 1, we know that this is hashtag 1, and we have 2 melee. And then we're gonna hatch that. I need cryo. So now we rename this and we put it over to grow. Now while this is growing, you can mutate a second stat. So normally I mutate 3 stats at the same time. So right now we no longer actually want this male here to sit and breed anymore, because we already got the mutation that we wanted. So we're taking this male away. And then we take all the traits off of him. And this here is telling you it's permanent. You can no longer put them back on. Be careful not to click the delete one, because then you actually delete the trait. And rank 3s are a bit hard to get. So then we go to our male and we put the traits on the new male. And next time we mutate, we'll be looking for a 2 mutation with 4 melees, or 3 mutation and 6 melee. This is how you stack mutation on them. Again, once these are mutated to 20, your male will no longer be able to gain mutations. Like you see here, the mutation landed on the male. So we hit soft cap. So at this point, you have 50% less chance of mutating, because you can only mutate on the females. As long as you're using clean females, you can continue to mutate, and you can stack them all the way up to you reach 137 or something mutations, and you have your 255 points. At that point, you can no longer mutate, but you can still breed the stats together. So if you have a female, if you have a health mutation with 255 in health mutation points, then you can breed that together with your melee with the same amount, and now your dino will have stacked capped health and capped melee at the same time. So this is why I always keep them separated, because I can just continue to mutate. I'm not going to reach a cap. I'm not going to have to worry about mutations and all that, as long as you keep it clean with being strict, I should probably say, with what are you taking, what are you not taking. Simply just don't take mutations if they are not the ones that you're actually looking for. So if they don't have the stat and the mutation count that you want, don't take them. Just wait till you get one that is clean and continue your line. Anyway, the next thing is, now this one here is almost up and this one here is almost up. These obviously has 2 different mutations. And it's what I'm talking about with stat matching. When I use a male with the oxygen and then breed it together with the female that has the melee, these 2 can combine stats. If they combine their stats, my offspring of this will then have the mutation count and the stat count of these 2. So it's the same as when you're stat matching normal dinos. Just keep breeding them until the stats land where you want them, and then you can make a mount. But I think I covered the majority of the tutorial. Obviously, if you have questions, you can reach out to me. I'll try and answer as best as I can. Once you get in on this server here, go to GCM so you don't have to worry about food and water. Do a small platform setup like I did over there for your mutations, and take a feeding trough if you need to, make some meat, whatever. I do suggest that you go to GCM so you can spawn in all of these things. You can fly, you can do whatever, but yeah. Just go to the side, make your own little setup, get an Oviraptor and get started. Practice, get your things in, practice stat matching. Once you understand it, it is so simple. It is simple math, and yeah, just practice with it. That is the best that I can say. In a second I'll breed these two and see if we're lucky. So you are now grown. Enable mating. Just enable mating. You can enable mating on them even when they're children. So as soon as it grows up, it'll start mating. Gonna turn you off. There we go, starting to mate. Another thing, get your stuff on passive. They always come out on attacking target. If something attacks you outside base, they will run around in your base, so just remove that from the get-go, so you don't have to deal with that. So let's see. We got the oxygen stat over, we did not get the melee. So we don't need this egg, so we're just gonna crack it. But yeah, that is it for this tutorial. I will go over all these things during breeding class and you can ask me questions. I'll see when I can make it possible. Obviously we are still working hard on beating Lost Colony, so I don't know when I will have time. I will try and put it in a weekend where it fits us all. Anyway, thanks for watching.